Hi, good morning. My name is Liz Cooper and I am the DRI Science Alive Office Coordinator, and I am also a certified secondary art educator for the state of Nevada. And I'm just going to be demonstrating some techniques today for art making that you can experiment with on your own water cycle maps. So the first one I want to talk about, let's just start with kind of some colored pencils that you should have in your kit. So some techniques that can be really fun with colored pencils is kind of hatching. So you're just kind of crossing the lines, kind of crossing back over. This could be cross hatching, just kind of like drawing those lines to create some type of texture. Another good technique for color pencils is blending. So I'm going to take two kind of greens and blend them together. And I'm just kind of going all over this map. When you are art making your own, I encourage you to kind of draw from your own experiences and pull some places or things that are special to you or that have meaning for you. So I layered that light green, and I'm going to layer this kind of teal on top of it to kind of blend the two colors. And then I'm just going to keep kind of layering. So I layer on, now I'm going to kind of use a little bit heavier pressure. If you use a ton of pressure right away with colored pencils, you can get like a really, really dark color, which can sometimes be really nice, but it prevents you from layering other colors on top. So I always say kind of start kind of light with colored pencils, and you can always add on kind of back and forth. And so this creates kind of a multi-dimensional color, which can be more interesting than just one plain color. Shading, that can be another fun one. So when you color in your different aspects of your water table, you could use the shapes that are already there and kind of shade them in to create something cool. So I'm going to kind of start up here in the ocean, and I'm going to kind of shade. So using firmer pressure on the end and making kind of like a darker color. So like I said, you can always add on, but it's hard to take away with colored pencils because there's not really erasers. So I start really dark, and then I'm just going to use kind of like a lighter touch. And I'm going in the direction of the shape too. So kind of following that curve of this circle. And then I'm going to go dark towards the edges to create kind of a cool effect and to kind of show that the color goes from dark to light. So you're kind of heavier pressure, and you could incorporate multiple here. So say I'm going to do shading, and then maybe I also wanted to maybe layer another kind of lighter blue onto this to just give it more dimensionality. That can be really nice too. So you have kind of shading from dark to light, and then you also have some layering. And you can do tons of other things with this. You can draw with colored pencils, or draw with regular pencil and then color on with colored pencils. You should also have some watercolors in your kits. So some fun techniques to do with watercolors. So first of all is just, you always want to kind of dip your brush into the water first to kind of activate the color, because it's dry and you won't be able to pull it out otherwise. So what I might do first is I'm going to pull some yellow here just to kind of activate it. And then I'm just going to kind of play around with creating some texture with this. So let's go into, I'll kind of keep it up here in the atmosphere to kind of maybe do some light, just brush strokes with my yellow. And I'm just kind of seeing like, what kind of textures can I make if I smush the brush? What does it look like if I just do like little dots? Can I do like long lines with the yellow? The more water you add, the lighter that the color will be. So thinking about, do I want it to be really, really dark? I'm going to use not that much water. It's going to get me a really bright yellow. Versus if I want it kind of lighter, I'm going to really saturate it with water and then kind of go in, and it's going to give me a much lighter tone. So there's lots of different things that you can do with watercolors. I encourage you to just experiment. Some fun things that can be is so kind of wet on wet. So I have this that's already wet. I'm gonna get, let's do some orange that's wet, and I'm gonna kind of layer this onto my other yellow to kind of have a wet on wet effect. And this kind of lets you blend the two colors together, which can also create a really cool effect. It does kind of warp the paper a little bit, so just keep that in mind. The more water you use, you might get a little bit of a bumpy paper, but it's just about kind of playing around with the colors and having fun. Another really cool thing that you can do with watercolors, and you should have some masking tape in your kit. Your tape might be blue, but it works the same, is you can take some tape and let's kind of make, maybe I'm gonna make like a river with my tape. So I'm gonna make kind of like a little line. Kind of going up from the rivers down. And so wherever you have the tape, you are not going to have any paint when you remove it. So it's really kind of a fun thing to see. So I'm gonna now work with some blue because I wanna kind of create like a watery moment here. Okay, and so then where I have my masking tape, I'm gonna paint over that. And again, you're always kind of dipping your brush in the water before you dip it into the color. You also always want to keep a paper towel or a reusable towel handy. And when you change colors, you want to rinse your brush really well, blot it on your towel before you switch colors so that you don't contaminate your whole palette, because you're going to be sharing and you don't want to be turning every color to brown. Okay, so I'm just kind of colored over my masking tape there with some blue. So normally what I would suggest is you'll work on this, leave it on your desk or something, and then come back the next day. But since I'm doing a quick demonstration, I want to just show you now. Okay, so then once it's dry, you peel gently because you don't want to rip the paper. You peel that masking tape back, and it reveals a really cool little image. So that's something really fun that you can experiment with as well. I'm gonna do a couple other quick things. So you should have blue and brown markers in your green box as well. So these can be really good for accenting things or drawing or creating lines. So these will create different types of line. So you can use the side and create kind of a thicker line. You can use the top, create a thinner line. You can kind of wave back and forth, kind of like turning it to get kind of a line that's thick and then thin. So the markers will be really helpful for when you are creating your arrows to kind of show how the water flows throughout. So think about how you want to do that with your markers. So again, maybe I go atmosphere to rivers, I'll go wide. So it's like really bright. So this I would recommend maybe doing towards the end once you have your whole background going. You don't want it to be too messy, so maybe when I go groundwater to humans, I'm going to use kind of a lighter one just so that I don't distract from other things. So markers are a fun way to play around with line, but you could also use them to draw things. So let's say I wanted to draw like some mountains in the background like we have in the map that you used from the game. So the markers can be a really nice kind of way to have a nice, really bold, let's give them some snow. So I'm recording this in April and it just snowed today, which I know we're all pretty sad about. Maybe it's melting down and it's turning into this river. So you see how those markers can kind of make something pop. I always like a good kind of like horizon line, kind of set the scene. And then now you can also use them to do like little snowflakes to represent your snow. So that was a quick kind of fast exploration of some different materials. I encourage you to just enjoy the process, not worry so much about what it looks like when you're done. And again, be kind of representing things that are special to you, because that makes the art making process more relevant and it makes you care about it more. All right, enjoy your green box. Bye.